No matter what we do with our trash, in the end, nature is going to be the one who truly has to deal with it. Hello, fellow homesteaders. I'm Nika. If you don't already know, Brandon and I do the best we can to deal with our trash on site. We feel it's our responsibility to deal with our trash because when it comes to having a garbage service, you throw it into the dumpster and then you don't have to think about it anymore. But dealing with trash off grid is a whole different game, especially if there is no trash service to take your trash. So it really becomes your responsibility to deal with it. And for us, we like to build with our trash. And if you're familiar with earthships will put a little bit of trash into their dirt-packed tires to create some sort of wall or foundation. And these tires are going to be a sort of foundation. So I've collected up a little bit of trash and I'll show you how to pack a garbage tire. First, you're going to want to dig out and level the area the tire is going to go into. Keeping in mind, depending on the height of the tire and how much the edges are going to bulge out as you pack the tire, you're going to want to try to make the tires relatively level, but keeping the bulging of the tire in mind. So now this tire is relatively level, and I've kept in mind the bulging of the sidewalls. If you have a fatter sidewall compared to the next one, you usually want to make it just a little bit lower than the next one so that when you fill the tire up and this sidewall bulges up, they'll be relatively level. And during the packing process, you can use levels to make sure the tires are level to each other if you need things to be kind of spot on leveled. And same thing with the ground. If you want the space underneath the tire to be very level, feel free to use a level and make it very level. But for this kind of sort of foundation, it doesn't have to be like perfectly level. So once this tire is done being packed, I'll make sure that this tire is leveled with this packed tire. So at least the top of the tires are nice and level. Now it's time to add some cardboard. Adding cardboard into this tire is essentially just going to hold all the trash and the dirt in the tire, and if I had to, I can adjust and move the tire and not have everything fall out the bottom. I usually go for 2 layers of cardboard. Then we start stuffing the tire full of non-organic trash. Paper and cardboard's okay though. You don't have to dump the trash into the tire. Feel free to just drop the bag into the tire and mash it in. And still lots more room for more trash. This bag's falling apart, so I am just gonna dump and smush. And once it gets filled to a point, remember to start kicking it into the edges of the tire. You can also use your hands to squish it into the sides. And then when it's too hard to mush in with your hands, that's when you start kicking. So I do have some broken pottery in here, so I do have to be a little bit careful when using my hands or my feet. But since I've put something that's kind of pokey and could cut you in here, after this bit of trash, I'll be doing a layer of dirt. I like starting with a nice big pile of dirt like this and then mashing it down into the tire. And at this point, you want to start shoving some dirt into the edges of the tire. Keep adding trash. And with the help of a pickaxe, you're able to lift up the edges of the tire to be able to shove more trash into it. And once you can't quite stuff any more trash in there, it's time for another layer of dirt. This is the point where you'll also need to use the pickaxe to lift up the tire edges and kick that dirt into that edge. Work that dirt all the way around. Add some more dirt. And once you have a pretty decent dirt pack, it's time to use the sledgehammer. You want to start off with going in at the edge, trying not to hit the actual edge of the tire, but we want to pack these edges nice and tight. Working all the way around the tire, and then some in the middle. Stomp it. More sledge. More dirt. Rocks are also really good to work into the edges because you can pack that edge nice and tight with them. You can see right here that this is still pretty squishy, so I really need to work more dirt into this edge. Versus this edge is not quite as squishy, so still got a lot more space in the edge to fill. I'm gonna stuff a couple milk jugs to fill up that space. You can see it's getting less squishy, but still has room. So let's do a rock. Getting there. You can use the pick to be able to lift up that edge and be able to stuff even more under it. And once you can't fit any more dirt into the tire, it's all finished. And you can see that this tire is about level with the tire next to it. And I can always work on the leveling in the future. Definitely worked up quite a sweat pounding this tire. Brandon and I do our best to not accumulate too much garbage. But in today's world, everything comes in plastic, wrapped in a box. So overall, it's really hard to avoid accumulating trash. And as we're able to produce more on our property, the less input we will need from other places, hopefully cutting down on our trash. But I fit 2+ months of trash into this one tire, essentially creating like a mini landfill. It's secure, it's contained, it's all upcycled into something that we're building. So it makes us feel really good that we're not only upcycling and utilizing things and items and trash that otherwise you can't really do much with, because a lot of plastics can't actually be recycled. And the recycling process takes so much energy when it comes to transport, the melting and refining of whatever we're recycling, and then the transport for it to go back out to be used, including all the fumes and off-gassing and other waste byproducts from the recycling process. So we really like dealing with our trash in the tire fashion, because this way we're actually taking responsibility for the trash that we accumulate, and it goes to good use. Pounding tires is quite a workout. It's definitely not for everybody. And I'll slowly have to keep accumulating trash to do these tires as well. But of course, if I don't have enough trash, I can just do dirt. But there's sure more tires to work on. Happy upcycling. Peace.